Hello and welcome to log 80. Yeah. Big things, I think. Big things are happening. There are big mountains that are shifting, and I am just sitting here and watching. Not as predicted, but as the pattern is going, a pretty hefty week of turmoil and stress and what am I doing with my life? That's settled. Now we're like, oh wow, that just changed a lot about the way I think and the way I see myself and the way I live and the way the world works around me. Okay. So, I am, however, still extremely majorly behind on my online course recording and editing. So, that's noted. I'll be taking... I want to try and make it more of a priority. However, I've been trying for the last 2 weeks, and I've barely gotten an hour in a day. So, some things are going to have to shift, but I will not sacrifice comic time. No, sir. I also will not sacrifice log time, because these are watching myself, and, just seeing that is really helpful, actually. It's kind of helped certain things click faster, I think. I don't think it's necessary for all of this mental shifting, whatever, but it's definitely making things feel more studied, more locked in, I guess, because I am studying myself. It's like when dancers and sports players and actors watch recordings of themselves. It's just a fast track to get better. So, and I'm practicing living in a healthy way. I wouldn't say I'm performing, but it's definitely something I'm learning, and watching myself helps. So, that's cool. And the logs are a couple days back, or a little delayed, so, but it's like a 2 to 3 day difference. So, my mental shift has been pretty big over the last 2-3 days, so watching it that far back already feels like I'm already at a higher, better, fresher perspective, whatever. But before we get into any of that, I would just like to say that trying to make myself dinner tonight was actually so much harder than I thought it would be. It's just completely random stuff, but I don't really have dinner food in my cabinet right now. But no, today was no tangents yet. Dinner. Yeah, so I was gonna have breakfast for dinner. I was gonna make oatmeal plus an egg sandwich. So I made oatmeal, poured the milk in the oatmeal because I used milk. I think it's better. I think it tastes thicker and creamier. But noticed after I poured it that it was sour. I was pouring it out and I was like, oh, it's a little chunky. Smelled it. Not good anymore. So I wasted a whole oatmeal packet. So I had to drain out the milk a little bit. I tried to microwave it a little so it wouldn't be so sludgy, because I had to throw it out. I didn't know where else to put it because there's already oats in it. So that happened. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever, I'll just make the egg sandwich. How could an egg sandwich possibly go wrong? I cracked the egg. There's blood in the egg. Yeah, I had to look it up. Turns out you can just get blood spots in eggs. It happens more often in less store-bought stuff because it's a natural thing that happens sometimes when hens lay eggs. It's like a blood clot or something. But yeah. At first I thought it was a chick fetus or something. I thought it was a fertilized egg, and that grossed me out for a second. But I looked it up. It said it's a natural thing. It's safe to eat. I couldn't pick it out because it was already half fried because I cracked it into a hot pan. And out of sheer curiosity, one of the autofill options for red spot in egg, there's meaning. That was autofilled as a suggestion. I was like, huh, I wonder, just hypothetically. And I'm always curious about that stuff. And also, writer at heart, I love a good symbolism situation. And there were like 5 different definitions. So like, one meant like, detox your house right now, there are evil spirits haunting you. One of them was like, fertilization or something, like to have a child. And one of them though was detox, that like a big change has just occurred and you have yet to realize it, but there is like a shift, like a big detox, I guess. A death of an idea that is no longer. And I mean, obviously you take these things with a grain of salt, but I have been thinking very differently the last like day and a half. Because I had a therapy appointment yesterday. I was talking with my therapist and I was thinking what I had experienced, what I had recently realized happened in September, basically. Yeah, less than a year ago. I still hadn't fully comprehended it. I still wasn't totally sure that it actually had happened. Because it's hard to try and justify the stuff that you've been so used to discrediting, and like, well, you didn't believe it happened for most of your life, so why would it happen now, kind of thing. But I think at this point, I've finally come around to the fact that it actually did happen. I'm not making it up for attention or something. I'm not having this victim complex mindset, whatever. It was actually a thing that happened that changed my psyche, that made certain things difficult, and it gave me an unhealthy mentality. Most of the things I'm struggling with now, most of these unhealthy mindsets about myself, and mainly myself, and like certain trust issues and stuff, I just blamed myself and I said it was my fault for being weird or something, but no, it's real. There's an actual direct cause for that, and it wasn't my fault. So, for the first time ever, since discovering it, I've actually come around to kind of view it as a fact and not just an opinion, which is wonderful. And then she was saying all this stuff about like, oh, the grief you had experienced was real, and like it doesn't go away because it's grief, but it just gets smaller, more manageable over time. And oh my gosh, that was the first time I recognized the grief in my past as grief, and not just, oh, I was just being dramatic. Like, no, that was grief, and it fades away like grief, and then sometimes it comes back on off days, but then you just cry it out, you let it go, and then you go back to normal. And it's like, oh my gosh, yes, that is my past. It is my past. It was real. It happened. And I'm doing all of this work so I can have a better quality of life. So I can live more freely, so I can love more freely, and just overall be happier. It's an improvement. I'm doing all of this work for myself, so I can be happy. And I think I had started all of this because I had so desperately wanted someone to listen to my problems and validate them, because I could not for the life of me validate them myself. I thought I was making everything up. I could do nothing else besides blame myself. So I just wanted a licensed professional to sit down, listen to my story, and say, okay, that was capital T trauma. Done. Definition, here's your medal. You survived it, good job. But she said it, and I didn't feel anything. And now I think I've finally gotten to the point where it's like, oh, that happened. I validated it, the fact. And then we can just move on and talk about it like it was just that. It has no control over me anymore. Well, no. And it'll fade with time. And I'll live on, and I'll have new experiences, and I'll live more like the person I've always wanted to be, the person I truly am. Before I was so, before I had learned all of the survival skills that dimmed my sparkle. But enough about that. The other realization, I guess kind of connected to that. That's why I was saying all this stuff. Art. I never really fully considered my personal relationship with my art. I guess it had felt like a part of me, but also separate. It was like my brain had two different rooms. There was the life room, and then there was the art room. So I guess it was a form of, like, it was escapist, I guess. But then I could also bring stuff from my art room and show it to people in the real world. Be like, oh, look at what I made. But when I was out of the art room, when I was just living my life, I didn't feel any big emotional connection to any of my drawings. Like, I'd draw something on a napkin or something and I'd just leave it there. Or I'd doodle something on my notes and I'd throw it out the next day. I could care less if someone kicked a hole through a painting right now. Yeah, I mean, I've painted over my own canvases plenty of times, and I thought that was just, maturity. I thought a lot of things I did was maturity. But it was just a detachment, I guess. Because my art wasn't me. It was the byproduct of me escaping into my little world, and that it's just there now. So when people complimented my art and stuff, like, I could handle criticisms, no problem. Because that was the art, I didn't really personally identify with it. Like, I didn't have my soul in it or anything. I didn't take it personally because it was separate. And honestly, because of that, it's really helped me improve my stuff a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of critiques on my stuff when I was younger too. That might have also been involved. But the point is, during all of these exhibitions, during all of the receptions and the celebrations and stuff, when people were actually seriously celebrating my art, I guess, yeah, this is kind of the first big art event of my life. Art show. I mean, I've had a couple art shows already before that, but I guess this was the big one. And yeah, I guess that felt off to me, which is why I felt even more off. I thought my art was just a thing that happened, Like, sure, I knew it was technically nice, but I didn't understand the fact that my art is my art because of me. I'm not just the one that happens to make it. Like, my soul, whatever's happening in here, is the only thing that can make my art. And when people like my art, they like it because I make it. Which, it seems like kind of common knowledge. Like, yeah, that's how art works, duh. But I didn't really... I genuinely didn't consider that. I've been drawing my entire life. And it's just always been just completely detached. Not even like it felt distant, it was just a different part of me that wasn't shown to the rest of the world. It was my little corner in myself. My little creative galaxy, universe, whatever. And then I'd pull it out sometimes like a little trick pony and get some compliments and applause and whatever, but I didn't really care about that. I really didn't. So it's like there's me and then there's my art, but I'm not the artist. This is gonna take some exploring. This is interesting. Maybe I should do some of the tasks this week, actually. Maybe. I don't know. But big, interesting questions that, like, thinking about it doesn't make me uncomfortable. I'm fascinated by it. Like, I want to dig into this more and just think, like, how do I see my art? And just the fact that my two professors believed in me that much yesterday. They had so much confidence in my future and my abilities and myself that they personally just lifted me up and brought me to the next step in my future, which, by the way, is continuing to show promise. Like, I'm not gonna say too much, but like, there's a serious chance I could get a really big gig out of this, which is genuinely, it makes me jump for joy. Like, I'm giddy. My big fat dream, ideal me future might actually happen. Like, I loved dreaming about it and visualizing it, but the fact that at some point in my life I could be living that is just exhilarating. Because those have always just been dreams. I've always just been stuck in the same small town in the same state. I sound like such a main character right now. But like, it's true. It's just so fascinating. Yeah, okay, another thing, kind of related to all of this. This morning, I was just doing my schoolwork, I was doing stuff, working on the Gerald model. He's looking very nice. I have to retexture him because I remeshed him on Monday. But I rewatched some behind-the-scenes videos in the Arcane behind-the-scenes series on YouTube. I've been studying, and his new texture model is going to look very nice. It's going to be a little more Arcane inspired, even though I really don't like Substance Painter. But anyway, yeah, I was just thinking, there was some passing conversation from one of my classmates that made me think of it, but it was just the question. Like, who am I? What's my personality? This question I always thought I knew. Because, I knew what I don't like. I know what kind of people I don't want to be around. So when my gut says, this sucks, get out of here, or this is boring, go somewhere else, I listen to it. Because I know no matter what, I can draw anywhere. I always have my little art space. So I had no problem leaving places I didn't like. But I don't know if I ever stopped to consider the places that I did like, because it was just always art. It was just drawing somewhere. But I was asking the questions. Like, what am I? Like, as a person, who am I? Who is me? And then I actually kind of had an answer. Because before it was always just like I don't even know, it was just fog, Yeah, and like forever, I've always searched for ways to figure it out. Like, I've thought of like all of my comfort characters, and I thought of my Myers-Briggs personality type, and my zodiac signs were crap. I don't believe in those. But like Chinese zodiac, somehow more accurate. But all of those things, like aesthetics, color palettes, fashion, people's perceptions of me, like I've always just clung to those bits because I've never fully given myself the time to perceive myself. I guess just whenever I think of myself, I just thought of my art. But that was somehow still not me. It was the separate little escape area of me. I don't know, I'm rambling, but I'm trying to figure things out as I go. But amazingly, I do not feel the urge to fix this like a problem. I can sit in the mystery, which is amazing, because I know like 2 weeks ago, I'd be freaking out right now. But I'm just sitting here, and I'm letting the pieces fall into place because my subconscious does a lot of the work. And if I let it do what it needs to do, it's fine. It's great. So the point is, I was thinking about that. I was asking like, oh, who am I? Blah, blah, blah. I started to actually have an answer. It was like, oh, I'm inquisitive. I'm curious. I love figuring things out. I'm technical. I love doing this, that, just behaviors that I know I do that not many other people know that I do. Like, I'm just starting to know myself. And it's probably a mix of the tasks and the logs and the journals and just being more friendly towards myself. Yes. My inner voice, the drill sergeant, the manager, the zoomy voice, however many names I came up with for it. They've all been so detached They've been high and mighty up there just telling me that I'm always doing a bad job. And the real me, the little me, has always just been reacting to that. It's just been living in fear. I haven't had time to live. And now that I'm on my own level, I'm befriending myself. I'm just figuring out, like, no one else's opinions about me or what I should be doing hold much weight. Like, if I respect them, then I'll listen to what they say, but in the end, what I think of myself matters. And nothing else. So, now that I'm actually, I'm starting to understand myself. I'm listening to myself. So before, I was treating myself like how I was treated in the past by others. And now, I'm actually learning to treat myself like I would a friend. I'm treating myself how I would treat myself without growing up in adverse conditions. And this happened today. Like, it does feel like a huge change. It feels like I can never go back kind of change. So, I'm gonna be doing some of the tasks tonight because I'm feeling extremely motivated to keep this going. But also to sleep soon because it is 10 and I did deinstall the show today. Took only about like 2.5, 3 hours, which was not bad at all compared to the 12 that it took to install. So, yeah, definitely gonna be making some comics. I would love to stay up till like 3 in the morning making a part 2 of the Compassion comic, but I made my bottom line last week. I said no work after 9, and I'm sticking to it. So that will be a tomorrow thing, I guess. But like I have plans tomorrow and I have plans Friday. Ugh, next 2 days are gonna be so busy. But then like the weekend will be open. I'll figure it out. Very fascinating stuff to suddenly just see myself and not just my art. Myself plus my art. Myself is my art. Like, the two worlds in my head that have always been so separate are starting to combine again. Unless, were they ever combined? No, I don't think they were. So, fascinating stuff, guys. Very fascinating stuff. And I'm talking for just about 30 minutes again. I'm gonna love editing all of these later. I'm not. But I don't care. I don't care. This was a very interesting log. Listen, props to you guys who are watching all of these. Hopefully, you're gonna feel as excited and as satisfied about whatever just happened today as I did. Because, holy moly, I think something big happened. And I have yet to realize how big it actually is. So I'm gonna get some good sleep to make sure that it all soaks into the brain. Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been Log 80, and I will see you tomorrow in Log 81.